My children are well behaved. I could be a good wife to you, human. Desperate widow's plea. The starship Elysium drifted silently through the void, its hull glinting under the light of a distant sun. It was a relic of the Galactic Union's golden age, now repurposed as a refugee transport. Among its passengers was a woman named Kayla, a widow of the Zorathian species, her iridescent scales dulled by grief and hardship. She clutched the hands of her two children, Lyra and Tovin, as they stood in the dimly lit cargo bay, surrounded by other displaced beings from across the galaxy. Kayla's heart ached as she scanned the room. The Zorathians were a proud race, known for their telepathic abilities and intricate social hierarchies. But the war had shattered their homeworld, and now Kayla was just another refugee struggling to survive. Her husband, a brave warrior, had perished defending their colony. Now, she was alone, responsible for her children in a universe that had no mercy for the weak. The cargo bay doors hissed open, and a group of humans entered. They were part of the Elysium's crew, tasked with overseeing the refugees. Kayla's eyes locked onto one of them, a tall, broad-shouldered man with kind eyes and a weathered face. His name was Captain Elias Grant, and he was the ship's second in command. Kayla had heard stories about humans. They were a young species, barely a blip on the galactic timeline, but they had already made a name for themselves. They were resourceful, resilient, and, most importantly, compassionate. Kayla saw that compassion in Elias's eyes as he moved through the crowd, offering words of comfort and distributing rations. She made her decision then. She would approach him. She had no other choice. "Captain Grant," Kayla called out, her voice trembling but firm. Elias turned, his brow furrowing as he took in the sight of the Zorathian woman and her children. He knelt to their level, his expression softening. "Yes? How can I help you?" he asked, his voice warm. Kayla hesitated, her telepathic abilities picking up on his sincerity. She took a deep breath. "My name is Kayla. These are my children, Lyra and Tovin. We have nowhere to go. Our world is gone, and I have no family left. But my children are well behaved, and I can be a good wife to you, human. Please take us in." Elias blinked, taken aback by her bluntness. He glanced at the children, who stared up at him with wide, hopeful eyes. Lyra, the older of the two, clutched a small doll made of scrap fabric, while Tovin hid behind his mother's leg. "Kayla," Elias said gently, I'm honored by your offer, but I can't accept it. It wouldn't be right. But I promise you, we'll find a safe place for you and your children. You don't have to do this." Kayla's shoulders slumped, and she looked away, her scales shimmering with unshed tears. "You don't understand. Without protection, we won't survive. The galaxy is cruel, Captain. I have nothing left to offer but myself." Elias's heart ached for her. He had seen too much suffering in his time, but this was different. Kayla wasn't just asking for help. She was offering everything she had left. He reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "You don't have to sacrifice yourself. We're taking the refugees to a new colony world. It's safe, and there will be opportunities for you and your children to start over. You have my word." Kayla looked into his eyes, searching for any hint of deception. She found none. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to hope. Over the next few weeks, Kayla and her children settled into life aboard the Elysium. Elias kept his promise, ensuring they had everything they needed. He visited them often, bringing small gifts for Lyra and Tovin and sharing stories of his own childhood on Earth. Kayla found herself drawn to his kindness and strength, but she kept her distance, afraid of overstepping. One evening, as the ship approached the colony world, Elias found Kayla alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. He joined her, leaning against the railing. Beautiful, isn't it? He said, breaking the silence. Kayla nodded. It reminds me of home, before the war. Elias sighed. I can't imagine what you've been through. But I want you to know, you're not alone anymore. You have friends here. You have me. Kayla turned to him, her eyes glistening. Why are you so kind to us? We're strangers to you. Elias smiled. Because it's the right thing to do. And because I see how much you love your children. That's something I admire. Kayla's heart swelled with gratitude. For the first time since her husband's death, she felt a flicker of something more, something she hadn't dared to hope for. The colony world was a lush, vibrant planet teeming with life. As the refugees disembarked, Kayla and her children stood at the edge of the settlement, taking in their new home. Elias approached, carrying a small bundle. I thought you might need this, he said, handing her the bundle. It was a communicator pre-programmed with his contact information, in case you ever need anything, or just want to talk. Kayla took it, her fingers brushing against his. Thank you, Elias, for everything. He nodded, his eyes lingering on hers. Take care of yourself, Kayla, and your children. They're lucky to have you. As Elias turned to leave, Kayla reached out, stopping him. Wait, she said softly. I was wrong before. I don't need to be your wife to feel safe, but I would like to be your friend, if you'll have me. Elias smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. I like that very much. Years passed, and Kayla and her children thrived on the colony world. They built a new life, surrounded by friends and neighbors who became like family. Kayla never forgot Elias's kindness, and they stayed in touch, sharing stories and laughter across the stars. One day, as Kayla watched Lyra and Tovin play in the fields, she received a message from Elias. He was retiring from the Galactic Union and planned to visit the colony. Her heart raced with anticipation. When he arrived, Kayla greeted him with a warm embrace. Welcome home, she said. Elias looked around, taking in the thriving settlement and the happy faces of the children. It's good to be here, he replied. And it's good to see you, Kayla. As they walked together, Kayla realized that she had found something she never thought she would have again, a sense of belonging. And in Elias, she had found not just a friend, but a partner who respected and cherished her for who she was. The galaxy was vast and often cruel, but in that moment, Kayla knew that as long as they had each other, they could face anything.